Hello and welcome to Body and Mind Uncensored. We're your hosts, Kelli
and Taleese. Combining 26 years of nursing experience, we're dedicated to sharing our expertise in mental health and women's health with as many people as possible.
The topics discussed in this podcast are based on our educated opinions and real-life experience and should not replace advice from your healthcare team. Well, hello and welcome back.
Hi,
How's
Kelli.
everything?
We're doing good this week.
Trying not to melt in the sun?
Yeah, sometimes I purposely try to, though, and I go out there.
You do?
I do. I really enjoy the sun. As you know, that's why I moved down here. And even when it's this hot, triple digits, we just get in the pool and float around, and then it actually is pretty cool. Like when you're in the pool, you get cold.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy that it's 114 out there when you're shivering in the pool, but it works. We had a daughter get married this week.
Oh, very fun.
Yes. It was a great, great day. Everything cooperated.
Congratulations to the
Thank
couple.
You. Mm-hmm. It was outside, so it was really toasty. But I have learned that I need to prepare for my own discomfort with menopause. And so heading to this wedding, knowing it was all going to be outside. It was just an outside day, and it was triple digits up there in northern Utah.
Yeah.
So I packed my fans. I had 2 fans, and I ended up giving one away. But at the reception, that was their party favor or whatever you want to call it, wedding thank you. It was a fan in these cute little bags to help everybody stay cool. So it was a good time.
Do you have one that you wear around your neck?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I've seen those.
Yeah,
they
those
work?
battery operated ones.
Yeah.
I'm not as well. I just think that they blow warm air, because it's around your neck. And no, I prefer
It
the
just
hand.
blows whatever's already there back.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So last time we chatted, you were prepping for your trip to Bear Lake and all of your dog concerns. How did your Rover AirTag experience, camera, all of that experience go?
I'm glad you asked, because it didn't go as smooth as one would hope. I'll recap because I don't know what I shared, but a few days before we were leaving, so I left before my husband did. He was staying here, finishing up some work. I had work to do in northern Utah, so I went up there. So he had a couple of days with the dogs after I had left. So one day after I left, the youngest one, he came home to throw up and bile in a couple different places. And so we thought, she's not feeling good. And then it got worse. Like she started having diarrhea. And we were like, what do we do? Do we keep going? Do we stay home with them? She wasn't acting lethargic or anything, so we decided to still go. So the Rover gal, bless her little heart, came over and did her thing. She couldn't get the dogs to eat most of the time, but we did have dry food that we told her just to leave out so that in case they did get hungry between the 12 hours that she was there. So they did eat that. But we did come home to probably a little disgusting, so mute it if you want to before. Where's your warning? Probably to 12 to 20 scoop marks.
Oh, no.
All over, like carpet, rugs, bathroom, everywhere. So I did have to do a lot of cleanup. And then the AirTag situation. So they had their AirTags on for probably a week before I left town, just so I could get used to it. And for the most part, the little tags stayed in the general vicinity of the house, no matter where they went. So I thought, okay, it's going to at least track it within this 1,700 feet, A couple days into it, I looked at it, and one dog is across the street. And this is in the time that the Rover person isn't there. So she came from 8:30 to 8:30. That was our deal, is we wanted her to spend the night there. So during the middle of the day, I look, and one dog's across the street, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're 6 hours away. So I called the Rover lady, and I also called a neighbor that it was supposed to be at her house. Luckily, I knew her name and her phone number, and she went out and looked, and she's like, no, she's not here. We looked on our blink cameras. That's another thing, is looking at the Rover tag across the street. We thought, well, let's just look at our cameras and see. And so we called her. We had the one camera in the house. Called her name, never saw her. called her name on the camera on the outside, never saw her. So then we thought, oh, great, she really is across the street. Turns out she wasn't. She was just in the house. The Rover girl had to go back over and look. So I kind of gave up on the air tags.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
if I can't really trust that they're not outside
not
of the
showing you
house,
where they're really at, yeah.
and I suppose if they really had gotten out and were like running through neighborhoods trying to find their way home, it would pay off. But for me, for putting my nerves at rest for the 4th of July and fireworks and leaving my dogs alone, I don't think it really worked. So, lesson learned.
Yeah, we've had some similar issues with air tags that either they don't update or they show a weird location or something. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the
they're
problem.
nice when they work, but it's hard when you're far away to know if they're accurate or not.
And that was part of it, is they hadn't refreshed within an hour. And so we had no idea of knowing if she was out lost or if she was really home. So,
shoot. Well,
there
I
it
hope
goes.
you had a fun time at Bear Lake anyway.
Definitely.
Even though it sounds like it was a little stressful with the dog situation. But
no, it was a great vacation. Thanks for asking.
Always nice to get away, right?
What about you?
We haven't really talked much this week because I've been sick.
That's right.
I was knocking on death's door there for a minute. Who gets strep in the summertime? Apparently I do. So
somebody who works from home and he doesn't go out very often. It was probably lingering on your doorknob to your house since winter.
I don't know. Maybe I picked it up at the parade on the 4th of July. Nobody that I know is sick. And we had like a little barbecue and pool party and stuff at my house on the 4th of July, but it was all just
nobody was sick.
No.
So what about your little grandson? I know you were loving on him. Did he end up getting sick?
Nope, he's good.
Oh, good.
Nobody else. Just me.
So this is a long time back, but I don't think did we talk about how he loved his Make-A-Wish?
We did not, but he actually, I was so sad. They got to Orlando and he was sick like almost the entire time. So as soon as they got off the plane, he was running a fever and just was super lethargic and just not, he wasn't feeling super great. So he had fun, but it not as much fun as he would have had if he was feeling 100%. But yeah, he did get to meet Mickey and the Cookie Monster and all kinds of different characters. And at the place where they stay for the Make-A-Wish, they have rides that they can lock their wheelchairs into. And so he was able to go on these rides, and he loves rides that swing and that kind of movement. And she sent me a couple of videos and pictures of him on these rides that he was just loving. So it was fun.
Are these rides that are at the actual hotel, the Make-A-Wish hotel, or are they rides in Disneyland that accommodate ADA?
Nope, this is a special place.
Did he meet Mickey at the main park?
I think they met Mickey at this village. It's called the Give Kids the World Village, and it is only in Orlando. And it's just for families of Make-A-Wish kids. And they have little villas that they put the families up in. It's not a hotel. It's like an actual villa. Like you pull up and you have your own little house. And it's really, really cute. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more, their website is gktw.org. Give Kids the World Village. And there's all kinds of pictures on there. It's an 89-acre nonprofit resort for kids with critical illnesses and their families. And they provide them a week-long cost-free vacation. And they do all kinds of things. They provide all of their meals during the day. They also have, I want to say Demi told me 24-hour ice cream. Like you can just go in and get ice cream. So that was one of Weston's favorite things to do, was to go get ice cream, because ice cream's his favorite.
I'm looking at this online and it is spectacular.
Yeah, it's a really cute
cool
thing for these families. So yeah, and they accept donations. It's a nonprofit, so if anybody's interested in donating to them, they do donations.
Yeah. Oh, this is cute.
Yeah, it's really cute. So that's where they stayed.
Well, good. I'm glad he did get to meet Mickey, even though he wasn't feeling well. And all day ice cream, I think that is, they really know what they're doing there.
Yeah,
Not just for kids, but for adults.
Definitely. Especially in the heat, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And even like an upset stomach, right? Where he's not feeling good or has a fever.
Yeah.
What helps?
Yep.
Something cool. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, ice cream's his favorite. So that was something that he was really looking forward to.
Fun.
You just have to say ice cream and his whole face lights up.
Mickey and ice cream.
Yeah.
So we're in July. Yeah. Should we talk what's coming up?
Ahead.
2024 Olympics.
Yes. In Paris.
Paris, no doubt.
That's super fun.
Yeah, that is like the Olympics and a vacation, like a trip that a lot of people would want to take anyway. So that's 2 in 1.
Yes, definitely. So I think in honor of the 2024 Olympics, we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about female athletes and even the mental struggles that they go through. These are amazing athletes, every single person, and having a huge world stage, that's got to take a mental toll on you, right? Especially you have your own internal pressures of I have to perform, I have to do my best, and what's the ultimate goal? The gold medal. So you have your internal pressures, but then you also feel the pressure of the world who's watching you to make sure that you don't mess up and you don't.
Yeah, and represent. I'm sure they feel a lot of pressure to represent because you get the country behind you. We all want to root for the people from our country. And so, they want to represent us well. And that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought about
not
that.
Just our country. I mean, if you think of some of these athletes, like we'll talk about Simone Biles here in just a minute. I think every single country has eyes on her. Like she's just superhuman. She's amazing. And so, people root for their own countries, but they also root for others.
Right. So
Simone
is
stage.
World known.
Oh, yes.
You're a big gymnastics fan. So tell us about you and your daughter spend a lot of time at gymnastics.
Yeah, it's funny because if you know me, you know that I love the University of Utah gymnastics. Caitlin and I have been season ticket holders there for, oh gosh, I don't even know, a very long time, like maybe 15, 16 plus years.
So she's been going for that long.
Yes.
That's so cool.
And neither of us did gymnastics. Gymnastics wasn't even on my radar when I was little. I danced. And when she was little, she did some tumbling and some dance. And I left it up to her what she wanted to do. And she chose dance. But we've always had a thing for gymnastics. And I just love watching them. I cannot believe how their bodies do what they do. But you said you did gymnastics when you were little.
I did. And it was just a community gymnastic class. I ended up stopping gymnastics because it was giving me a headache. I don't know if I've mentioned that throughout my life, I've struggled with migraines. Have I mentioned that? I think I did maybe in the menopause one. So that was a big component. I enjoyed it. I love the uneven bars, even just the floor routine. I love that. But every time I would go to practice, I would come back with a major headache. And so I had to stop it. But I did. I really enjoyed it. And I never got to the level of anything close to an Olympian. But just the amount of work and effort, holy cow. Like these athletes probably train more than I work, right?
I looked it up.
Good.
Yeah, I looked that up. So when I was doing some research on Simone, and she trains about 35 hours a week.
So, Kelli, I know a little bit of Simone. I know that she's been in the Olympics before. I know that she's an amazing gymnast. What does she specialize in?
Everything.
Everything.
She does. Yeah, she's an all-arounder.
But for the team or for the Olympics, do they have to choose something?
No. So how it works is the leadership for USAG, they kind of put together their team based on how they do during competitions throughout the year and at the Olympic trials. Once you get to trials, you actually, I think, and I'm not like a huge elite follower. So, and that's what these gymnasts are, is considered elite. I follow more NCAA college. And so these are elite, just different levels, different ways of scoring, different ways of doing. But all of the elite gymnasts end up going to, well, not all, but those who are selected go to the Olympics. And so during trials, they all compete. And then however they end up ranking for everybody who's competing in the event, the top two from each country go forward. And they only allow, and it's not from each country. It's like the top two in the top.
Like scores.
Yeah. So there's an opportunity for somebody to score really high on vault, but maybe not so much on beam. So they wouldn't go to the beam rotation, but they would go to the vault rotation. And then they have the all around, which is every single event. And Simone has traditionally done the all around, but she also has the potential, or they all have the potential to qualify on the individual apparatus as well. So you have the vault, the floor, the beam, and the uneven bars. So they have the opportunity to get 5 medals. And then they do the team event as well. So they have individual and they have team.
Oh. So what comes to my mind is that it's really easy to determine who makes it in track and field, right? That is a objective score. You can't dispute. Well, I guess there are some things you could dispute, but gymnastics to me is hard because it's really what somebody saw. It's somebody's subjective score.
And in split seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever watched a YouTube video of any of these gymnasts, especially Simone, but any of these gymnasts, the skills that they do are so fast. You can't count every single
like
twist
how can you
flip
look at their
that they
technical
did. Yeah.
Do these coaches go back and review footage?
Yeah. I watched one of Simone's videos, a floor routine in slow motion, just one of her passes. And I was still like completely flabbergasted that this little tiny body can do such huge, high, powerful
maneuvers
flips and twists in literally a split second. And in slow motion, it looked still crazy.
So how old is Simone, and how do you know her height, weight?
I don't know her height. I mean, she's pretty little.
Most gymnasts are, aren't they?
Most
is that pretty typical?
Yeah, some
are tall.
Some are tall, but most of them are around the 4 to 5 foot height range in there. 4'11" to 5'4".
I'm 5'1".
I'm almost 5'5".
You're tall.
Yeah. So I mean, even my height, like there are some in my height, but when you get to have longer legs, you have more chance of hitting the ground when you're swinging bars or things like that. But yeah, so let's talk about Simone for a sec. So she is 27.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she was at the last Olympics, right?
She's been at the last several Olympics.
Several. Well, she's not that old.
Simone's first Olympics were in 2016 in Rio. So
16
this
in
will
Rio.
be her third Olympics. 2016, 2020, and then 2024.
So basically, did you say her third or her fourth?
This will be her third.
Her third. So 12 years, and she's 27.
Fun fact, she will be the oldest gymnast to compete for Team USA at the Olympics.
The oldest. Mm-hmm. At 27. Yeah.
Back in the day, they were all very young, between 16 to 20.
So when I think of Mary Lou Retton,
college,
she was in between that age, huh? That's so crazy. Because in thinking about it, I would have guessed she was in her 20s.
Yeah. Yep. She's 27. She's married. I think she got married last year or the year before. But yeah, she's known as the greatest gymnast of all time for the U.S.
Really?
She's been doing gymnastics since she was 6 years old. So she started in 2003.
Because Mary Lou Retton, right? I know a lot of younger people might not recognize that name, but I'm pretty sure she was on Wheaties boxes, like just really well known for women's gymnastics.
Yep.
And now they're saying that Simone has surpassed that. And yeah, I'm sure because there's social media, there's so many platforms that weren't available when Mary Lou was performing.
Yeah. Mary Lou, I think she's still a prominent figure. But yeah, she only went to one Olympics, I believe. So yeah, Simone's on her third. She's the only one I think that has been to this many ever.
That makes it exciting. I for sure want to watch and see how she does. I mean, I did before, but knowing that she's the oldest and third time and from the U.S., that's pretty
She's
cool.
She's also the most decorated American gymnast in history. She has 25 gold medals. 19 of those are from world championships. She's got 7 Olympic medals. 4 of them are gold. And she has 7 national all-around titles and is the first female gymnast to earn 3 consecutive world all-around titles. So that's every event. She also has 5 skills that are named after her. So this is really hard to do.
And she has 5.
She has 5. So you have to come up with a skill that nobody else has ever competed or shown. And if you successfully complete it, then it's named after you. So she has.
So are these things that they create on their own, or are these moves that people really don't put into their routines, and once you do and you own it, then they name it after you?
Yeah, it's like a series. So if you decide you're going to do 3 twists and 3 flips and whatever combined, then...
So it's their moves that people are familiar with. It's just how the way you put them together and create. Okay.
Yeah. So she has 5. 2 skills on vault that are named after her, 1 on beam, and 2 on floor.
Wow, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So will she be performing those in the Olympics, and they'll be saying, here's Simone doing the Simone?
We'll see. They're called the Biles.
That makes more sense.
I think she's got the Biles 1, the Biles 2. I don't know all the names, but yeah, they're all named after their last names. So
how exciting.
Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Yurchenko on vault. That's a skill that was named after somebody Yurchenko.
Okay. I'll have to listen for that. I didn't know that's what they did. So that will definitely help me to make sense of it when I hear him saying she just completed a bile or something. So thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. So as far as mental health goes with Simone, I don't know how much you followed the 2020 Olympics or her story, but they got there, they were competing, they made the first round, and they all kind of knew what events they were going to compete on. She ended up getting the twisties. Have you ever heard of the twisties?
No.
Basically,
but I can picture them doing the twisties in their routine.
Yeah. So she had a mental block of some sort that prevented her from doing the skills that she normally competed. Every single time she did a twist, she would get lost in the air. And this can be really dangerous, especially on vault. And I think this is where we saw it the first time, was where we saw her twisties, because she stumbled or she did not compete her vault the way that she normally would. And you can get seriously hurt. Like, you could break your neck. And so,
right, because the mid-movement, you're basically blacking out. Not really, but like mind blank. Like, what's the next step?
Well, you lose your space.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. So you don't know where you are when you're landing.
Yeah.
So anyway, they pulled her. They pulled her from the Olympics. She was not able to compete for the final medals, which was really devastating to her. But she sat on the sidelines and focused on the team and cheered for the team. And this was pretty devastating to the gymnastics world. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure to Simone too. But I think after that, she didn't know if she was going to come back and compete again. And
because you basically have no control over it.
Yep. So I know that she's done a lot of focus on her mental health. The way that U.S. gymnastics has been in the past under the Caroli leadership, I don't know if you know them, but they were very strict with the team, and they basically treated them like they were in the military, we'll say.
So like, these are young girls. Specifically over the U.S. team.
Yeah. So these are very young girls. I mean, not just the U.S. team. Like, I've seen other countries who treat their girls the same way too, but these are super young girls, like I said, 16, 17, 18 years old, and told what their bodies needed to look like. They were told what they could eat and what they could not eat. They were basically starving them. They were going over these skills over and over and over, and just not even focusing on mental health or any aspect of that. That wasn't even like a thing. They were supposed to be perfect, and they all had to
They
stand
were
in line.
focusing on physical, not the mental aspect.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had to stand in line from shortest to tallest and all these things. Anyway, so after that era, the leadership has changed, and for the better. I really like the leadership that USAG has in place right now. And they are really focused on mental health, especially after Tokyo and what Simone went through. They even have a support dog, an emotional support dog that they're taking with them
I love
to
that.
Paris. And they showed him or her, I don't know if it's a male or female dog, but anyway, they showed the dog on TV during the Olympic trials. And I thought that was really, really sweet. All the girls seemed to really like him.
So do you know much about the dog? Like, you knew I was going to have questions. Like, where does the dog live? Is the dog...
I don't know anything about the dog.
All right.
But the fun thing too is the current team dynamics. Back in the day, like, you had to stand on the sidelines and watch, and you couldn't really cheer, you couldn't really smile, you couldn't show that you were having fun, right? But all of these girls, like, it's a total 180 after
the change in management,
after the Carolis left and to current date, like, the girls go out there and they cheer for each other. You can just tell they're having fun. And I think that that's what's really important, especially in these really high stakes competitions, is just go out there and have fun, right?
And team support. Like, you're right. I can picture after watching a gymnastic performance in the Olympics, and they are so stoic, and you can just feel the tension from the screen just watching it when it's intense and the coaches aren't happy. And oh man, what a lot of pressure. That would be a mental game. Yeah, for sure.
The coaches, I mean, not all coaches are the same either, right? And so a lot of the coaching staff has kind of changed. Simone has her own gym that she trains in. And it's kind of fun too. There are several girls on the team. We'll talk about the team in a little bit too, but there's several girls on the team who are also doing NCAA. And I think that the NCAA level has brought in kind of that team spirit as well, and that having fun and focus and on the team. Jade Carey, she competes for Oregon State, but she's also doing elite gymnastics for the Olympics. And then Jordan Childs, who she actually took a year off, but she was going to UCLA competing for NCAA, and now she's competing for the Olympics. So and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, while you're mentioning that, I did look up a little bit about like how many Olympians we had coming from Utah specifically. And a name that we'll jump back to Simone and to the females, but something I didn't realize he was still in the picture. For basketball, 3-on-3, Jimmer Fredette from BYU. He's going to be competing. So a lot of the sports that actually came up with Utah Olympians, I wasn't aware of them. So cycling, mountain bike, I think that's fairly new to the Olympics. But Haley Batten, Park City native from Park City High School. Rugby is now in the Olympics. And shooting air pistol, soccer, sports climbing. That's where a lot of our athletes come, is in sports climbing. And I wonder if that's because we do have a lot of places and avenues here in Utah for that sport to really be prominent. But just in sports climbing, there's 8 listed from Utah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is more than any other sport. So not a lot of familiar sports we're in. There's track and field. We have a fair amount in track and field. Artistic hoops. Any idea what that is?
I have no idea.
There's the trampoline. So just a variety of sports that Utah Olympians are in, but
that's pretty cool. Yeah, you think I did see a news story. People think of the Winter Olympics here, right? Because we've had the Winter Olympics. We're expecting to maybe get an announcement later this month if we're going to get the next winter or not. I don't know what year, 2034, I think.
Hopefully we're still alive.
I can change that.
That's 10 years.
Yeah, but we are anticipated to get another Winter Olympics. But yeah, people don't think about Utah in the summer, but we do have a really good summer and winter sports here in Utah. So
we do. And you're right. I think we do focus on the snow because it's like the greatest snow on earth. So that's what people think of. But we also have the greatest dirt on earth.
and lakes and rocks.
Mountains.
I mean, our mountains are amazing. So yeah, there's snow in the mountains in the winter, but in the summertime,
There's hiking,
they're beautiful.
biking.
Yes, all the things. So I did put out on our Facebook and Instagram to have feedback from our viewers on who they wanted to hear about. And another Olympian who is super famous that Caitlin threw out was Katie Ledecky. She's also 27 years old. She has 7 Olympic gold medals and 21 World Championship gold medals, which is the most ever for a female swimmer. And she is also the greatest female swimmer of all time and one of the greatest Olympians of all time. I believe she even has more medals than Michael Phelps.
So where has she been? What?
Oh,
but why don't we hear of her compared to Simone? What do you think?
She's out there.
It's just what I haven't heard. Okay.
You're just under a rock, apparently.
I am.
She's on track for more medals this year, and I actually saw a post on Facebook at one of her qualifying events for the Olympics. She won one of her events by over 20 seconds recently. And literally she was sitting at the wall waiting. It felt like longer than 20 seconds when I was watching this video. Like she could have gotten out, took a shower and everything before the next person even came to the wall.
Oh, was that because they were reviewing everything? So do they review?
No, they were still swimming. They all
That's how fast she was.
That's how fast she was. 20 seconds faster, and it seemed like forever. Watching this video. It did not seem like 20 seconds. Yeah. It was more like a couple of minutes. Like you see her hit the wall and come up, and she's looking at the board, and you're almost thinking, oh my gosh, did she not do a lap?
Did she finish?
Yeah. And then you see the next person come and touch the wall and come up, and they're looking at the board. And then it was like a smattering after it. She was just in a league of her own. So super fun to watch that video. Definitely watch out for Katie Ledecky. I'm not a big swimmer watcher, and I don't know if you are either, but
I do tend to watch it just because Jeremy was a huge swimmer. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but he played water polo. Yeah.
Cool.
And so he was a huge swimmer, loved swimming. So we do focus on that a little bit.
So here's a fun fact about Katie, too. So she actually debuted at the 2012 Olympics when she was 15 years old. They didn't really expect her to medal or anything like that at that Olympics, and she did. And then she has competed in every single Olympics since. So Simone has 3. She has 4, or will have 4 under her belt now.
Olympics.
Yep.
I'll have to watch for her.
Watch for her.
Just a quick snippet in preparing for this, I did see that first time ever, more than half the Olympians are female.
Wow.
At the Olympics.
That's pretty cool.
It is. That's a great representation. And while looking for that, of when women were allowed to participate in the Olympics, it hasn't always been, I mean, we talk about being able to vote, being able to wear pants, all these things that women have had to fight for. Yeah. Olympics is one of them. And it says they called it improper to have women in the Olympics. But a century ago, Alice Millier fought for inclusion of female athletes in the Olympics. So that's pretty monumental. That's a century ago, right? Like,
yeah. Not even that long.
No, we're talking breakthroughs as far as like slavery and women's rights and so many things. And yeah just thought I'd throw that in there.
That's insane. Who else did you want to talk about? And then we can talk about teams because.
Oh. Yeah. Well, Grace McCallum. Are you familiar with her? Is that somebody that you've watched?
She is a Utah gymnast, and she was at the last Olympics. So, yes, I do know Grace McCallum. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I do know who she is.
You're probably more familiar with her than most of us because you have been following gymnastics more than most, I think. Right? But she was up at the U.
She
and
is
you would
still. I
still.
think this is her final year unless she redshirts next year, which means she got injured one of her years, and so she has the opportunity to come back for another year.
Red shirt meaning she won't play?
No, she will. She could. So if you get injured during your season that you're competing during competition, you have the opportunity to redshirt, and that means that you can take another year where you can come back and compete because you didn't get to
fulfill the year that you were. Okay.
Yeah. So this year she's a senior, and then if she decides to redshirt, then she could come back next year again.
Is she injured?
She was at one point in her NCAA career, yes.
There's a lot of attention and money thrown at NBA basketball and NFL, and I just don't think that a lot of these Olympic athletes get the clout that they deserve because it's a lot more technical than these bigger sports that do have the following. I'm sure you've seen that watching gymnastics.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're sponsored or anything like that, but a lot of these other teams outside of the NBA and who are also in the Olympics, right? They take their NBA people and they decide who they're putting in. But yeah, I don't know how they're sponsored or how they pay for any of this stuff.
A responsibility, isn't it, to pay for it and the trips? And
I don't know. I mean, they have to pay for their
there's
coaching
some sponsors,
and all of that,
I'm sure.
But yeah, I know they do get paid some through Elite, but as far
whether
as
it's
like
enough to
others,
cover,
though, yeah, as far as like swimming and track and field and other things, I have no idea how that's covered.
So it says Utah, in particular, is represented through 25 Olympians. That's not bad.
Not bad.
It's not bad for this little state.
Good job, Utah.
Yeah. 25. Okay, so let's talk about another Olympian.
Who do you want to talk about?
Do you have somebody?
Well, you just sent me the list, so I did look up a couple on that list who are in track and field. So Allison Felix, I'm not super
familiar with her.
I don't know. I mean, I know that name, but yeah, I'm not super familiar with track and field and things like that. But Allison Felix, she represented Team USA at 5 Olympics before she retired. So she is not in the Olympics this year. But a fun fact on her that I looked up, she did attend the 2020 Olympics as a mom.
Is that quite common?
No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't
Not
think
for an
so
individual
either. That changes
athlete
your
anyway.
body.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So that was kind of fun to see that history
It is
on
exciting.
her.
So we can say Simone is married, but she doesn't have kids.
No, does not have kids. And then we have Sydney McLaughlin. I've never heard of her either. She's a hurdler and sprinter. She won 2 gold medals in the 2020 Olympics. And then at the 2024 Olympic trials, she came in first in the 400-meter hurdles. So she sounds like one to watch as well, if you like hurdling and sprinting.
I do. I enjoy watching the running. Like I said, I think that when I watch gymnastics, I think, wow, that was amazing. They deserve a top score. There's only a few things that you can see, like maybe their dismount or that change the score. But like I said, with track and
out
field,
of bounds or
yeah, bend an arm or something. Yeah. So technical, but like track and field, it's pretty easy to see who won, who didn't. And just goes to, I don't know. I'm gaining a new appreciation for gymnastics.
Yeah.
Is what I should say.
You should come with me to a gymnastics meet.
I would love it.
One thing that's not on this list, I thought it was kind of fun though. I was kind of flipping through Facebook and saw a video on synchronized swim team. Have you ever watched synchronized swimming?
Oh, I've watched it and I've tried to do it like on my own. Just funny stuff, and that is...
How successful were you?
Holy cow. I mean, I can tread water. That's... The amount of skill to do that, I think holds... Or how would I say this? Like, that is the ultimate test.
Yeah. And they're holding their breath.
In water. Yeah.
Yeah, like upside down, underwater, doing all these things with their feet and flipping each other in and out of the water.
So we've got swimming. right?
Yeah.
Let's count the
Mhm.
sports in there. There's probably only
Yeah.
two. Swimming,
Yes.
dancing. It's a team sport.
Acro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an amazing.
It's not something that I could probably sit and watch for hours, but just seeing one of the videos that was posted, I thought that it's just amazing. And they're all in sync.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Because I think
it was
adding a
crazy to
team
me.
individually, right? You could work on yourself and you know your part
Yeah.
and there's nobody else to rely on. But relying on their teammates to do what they're supposed to do adds another level, in my opinion.
And it's not a small group of women, right? These are like, I didn't count them all, but I want to say like 10 or so.
What I was going to say about synchronized swimming is I would love to watch underneath rather than above. I mean, maybe a mixture of it, but the underneath is where the real magic is happening. I went to Cirque du Soleil in Vegas a couple of years ago. Wow. And then I watched something behind the scenes and the amount that goes underneath the water and the divers with oxygen to give these performers. I'm sure that doesn't happen in the Olympics with the synchronized swimming, but such a show, a production underneath the water that we all miss out on.
Crazy. Yeah, I would love to kind of see how they train for synchronized swimming. Like, do they do stuff above the water and then they get in the water and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's insane to me, but
Like do the whole thing outside of water and then go into the water and perform it. But then a lot of it does, I think, rely on the buoyancy or I don't know, of people being able to move underwater differently.
Yeah.
I will say that since we have been down here and utilizing a pool, I have been doing workouts in the pool and really, really enjoy it. Such a difference on how much more you can move without pain in water and the pressure on the joints.
Yep. Well,
So
you're
awesome.
not weight bearing, but you also have the resistance of the water. I love doing water aerobics. Yeah.
I've never really given it, I guess, the clout, or you think, oh, water aerobics, that's for old ladies, right? That's what old ladies do and just sit there and kick their feet. We've talked about water aerobics?
Yeah.
On here.
Yeah. I swear we did. Maybe I'm up in the night. I swear we did.
It's probably not you. It's me.
But yeah, I used to do water aerobics at the gym and I would get out. I was sore.
Yeah.
For the whole next day. I was like, wow, what did I do? Water aerobics? That made my arms and my legs sore. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've been trained over my life to think no pain, no gain. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have pain, you didn't get a good workout. I do still get the soreness when I think, wow, I really did work those muscles. But I don't think it's the amount that you get if you were to do that outside of the water. And so I don't feel like maybe I'm getting as good of a workout, but it has to be because I just...
Yeah, the resistance from the water is a lot. Yeah. Well, let's continue on our topic. Let's move to teams. So I have a lot of fun facts about, well, at least the gymnastics team. Sorry.
No, it's
sorry
good.
to all of you who
aren't gymnast
really follow
fans.
Gymnastics.
Maybe you will
I
after
do have
this.
some other teams too, but I just thought it was really interesting when I was looking at the different teams that are representing Team USA in the different sports areas, that there is a huge amount of age and ethnicity, as well as, like you said, more females versus males. But you can see age and ethnic diversity across all of the teams this year. And it's really exciting to see that.
Because that hasn't always been the case, has it?
No, definitely not. Like I said, especially in gymnastics, people were typically 16 to 18, maybe 19 years old. The women's gymnastics team ages are from 16, which is the youngest representative of all the sports is on the gymnastics
in any sport
team.
is 6. Is that the age that you have to be to participate in any sport?
No, because Katie Ledecky was 15. I think 15. It depends on when they were born, but the youngest person on the U.S. gymnastics team this year is the youngest of all the sports this year. So she's 16. And then the oldest, like we said, is Simone, and she's 27. She will be the oldest female gymnast to compete in 72 years.
72 years.
Yeah. So on the women's gymnastics team, you have Simone Biles, you have Jordan Childs, who's also an Olympics team silver medalist. We talked about her a little bit. Suni Lee. Oh, she also went to college too. She was at Auburn. She's the reigning Olympic all-around champ. So at the last Olympics, she won the gold medal in the all-around. And then Jade
This is
Carey.
in gymnastics.
Yes, this is the gymnastics team.
Okay.
And then Jade Carey, we talked about her. She's at Oregon State, and she's a floor Olympic gold medalist. And then Hesley Rivera, she's the 16-year-old. She's brand new to the scene. She won the 2024 Winter Cup. She was the balance beam champion at the 2024 Winter Cup. So Simone and Jordan are both African American. Suni Lee is Hmong. And then Jade Carey is Caucasian, and Hesley is Latina. So kind of fun to see the diversity.
It's a great diversity.
Yeah. A ton of diversity. I also looked up the U.S. women's soccer team. I thought this was an interesting fact that it's the youngest team that the U.S. has had since 2008, and it's the fourth youngest in history. The average team age is 26.8 years old.
Which is pretty old.
And they have 18 members.
Wow. That's really neat.
Pretty cool. U.S. women's basketball ages range from 26 to 42.
Basketball. Okay, so let's talk about, is gymnastics just because the way they move something that they have to be young for? And that's why, because it seems like these other sports, you can be a little bit older.
Yeah.
Which tells me that gymnastics is more technical.
Definitely takes a toll on your body, right? You cannot do that for a very long time. Yeah. The chance for injury in gymnastics is very high. Okay, the U.S. women's volleyball team, they have no players under the age of 26 for the first time in history.
Let's talk a little bit about what you watch in the Summer Olympics. What are your favorite things? Gymnastics. So do you record them all?
Last time when they were in Tokyo, they were on really, really, really early in the morning. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I did get up and watch one in the middle of the night. I think it was the team. But yeah, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know if they're going to be on NBC or Peacock or what time they're on this year, or if they'll be able to be recorded. I don't know. I haven't looked that up yet, so I'm not sure. What sports do you watch?
I love swimming. I love watching the diving. Not so much the laps, right? That's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But I like the diving.
Diving is pretty cool.
It is. Have you ever tried to dive?
No.
There. But I think it's a lot harder than it looks.
I would be afraid I would just belly flop.
Break my neck. Yeah. I like that. I love the gymnastics. The gymnastics are my favorite thing to watch. The floor routine. I do like some of the track and field, just maybe the
short runs.
Anything with those long runs, like what's there to watch? I like that they cut back. So when years and years ago watching the Olympics, it used to be on one channel, right? And it would just go night and day for the 2 weeks or however long the Olympics ran. And that was it. But now you just mentioned it's on several different platforms, right?
Yeah.
So it can...
I think there's the Olympic Channel, NBC, and Peacock, which is a streaming service that NBC owns.
So is it your impression that certain sports will be aired on certain platforms? Is that what they're doing? That's kind of tricky. Yeah. So then how do you...
But I think like the most popular ones will also show on prime time at night. Like they'll show them probably live on streaming, and then later on when everybody's awake, they'll show them. I think that's what they've done in the past. So maybe gymnastics will be shown later on. I don't know.
Like I would think the most popular ones, they're going to want to put them on prime time, and they want those
well-known
numbers.
Athletes like Katie Ledecky and things like that too. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked up the schedule yet, so that'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I know I kind of touched on this in the beginning, but I just thought, again, just the pressures that all of these athletes face of being on the world stage and how they are making mental health a priority. I think it's really important. I know we were talking about women, but in the past, Michael Phelps has come out, had said that he has had a lot of anxiety in the past. And so I really am impressed with him Simone for coming out and talking about, hey, mental health is a real thing. And if we don't have our mental health in check, then the rest of what we do, we can't be successful at. And so I really, really like that they have given their
Incorporated.
platforms and put themselves out there, because mental health has been so not talked about in the past, right? And so to see these famous people come out and start talking about it and showing their vulnerability and sharing their stories with others, I think that's a huge, huge deal, not only for them, but for everybody else to see these greatest of all time athletes also struggle. And so I really like that they.
Yeah, that's kind of why we wanted to start this podcast, right? Was to remove the stigma of mental health. And I think the more that we see that from well-known faces that are known for great accomplishments, that you would think, no, they don't have any mental issues or they wouldn't be able to do that. It just goes to show that it's everybody who has a brain has mental health that they need to protect. And I think you're right. I think that's a great start. Just like we've mentioned, COVID really brought out mental health in the forefront and kind of gave it a voice. And yeah, I think the more that we hear from successful people who we think don't struggle from mental illness, it will show the rest of us, right, that even if we do have a mental illness or mental barriers, that we can still perform great things. So I really like that. Something that we haven't talked much about is transgender in sports and how that looks, because I know that that is a pretty taboo topic, right? Like, do you let transgender male perform in, if they're transitioning to a female, do you let them perform in female events? So this is what I'm seeing is that there's one. Why are there
not at the Olympics though, right?
It does. It says, it says London. A transgender non-binary runner is heading to the Paris Olympics this month after qualifying for the U.S. team by winning the women's 1,500 meter race in trials. Nikki Hiltz, who was assigned female at birth but uses the they-them pronouns during the meet in Eugene, Oregon. So it says they will now be one of the few trans athletes competing. So there are a few, as they are not undergoing hormone therapy and are not subject to world athletes restrictions on trans athletes.
Interesting.
Yeah, but no hormones. So I'm thinking that is what, if there's hormone therapy, then you're probably not allowed. But if you're transitioning to another, this is a completely separate topic, but how do you transition without hormone replacement? You know?
Maybe they've already completed hormone? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's something exciting, right? We talk about women being able to perform in the Olympics and how that's pretty recent compared to the big scheme of things, but also transgender. I think that's pretty new as well. So I thought that would be interesting.
Well, and with the Olympics, I mean, when we think about hormones and all of the doping scandals that have been in the past, right? Anybody who's taking testosterone or any kind of hormone like that, of course, they're going to be. So I can see why they've made that rule, as long as they're not on hormones. So.
And it does say that men's higher testosterone means they generally grow taller and stronger than women. Critics say this means trans women could retain an advantage even after medical transition. Trans groups say taking female hormones evens the playing field. So it sounds like if there's a man transitioning to female, that they would be more likely to participate in female sports because those female hormones they take bring down the testosterone and make them more of an even playing field.
Interesting.
So I think this is something that we'll see come out more during the Olympics, during future Olympics. Definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm excited to watch.
I am too.
Some of these events and follow some of the athletes that we've discussed today. So we encourage all of our listeners to also follow along with your favorite sports and teams and support and cheer on the Olympians.
Get into it. It's another thing to celebrate, right? Like we need these in our lives. We need events that keep us forward thinking. And this is one of those great events that the whole world can pause and be united in. And even though we're maybe cheering on our own country, we're still, as a world, as a whole, there. And that is pretty unique and something to celebrate.
Definitely. Do you have any words for wisdom as we leave today?
I do.
Okay.
And I think this applies to Olympians. We talked about how some of them are mothers, some of them are going to school. They've got all this effort that they put into training for the Olympics. And this kind of made me think of them. It says ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. Don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. I just thought that was really profound. Like, you would have to stay completely focused, right? Because the one thing that's keeping you floating could also take you down if that water gets out of place. And so just think about this boat and what keeps you afloat and keeping the toxic things out that will keep you from sinking.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's good. Awesome. Well, thanks as always for listening. Support your female athletes. Support all of the athletes. They're all amazing. I just can't even wrap my head around how they do what they are doing.
Right. Super bodies.
Yeah. Crazy.
Superhumans.
Yes, definitely superhumans. So, yeah, please go leave us some feedback, subscribe,
download,
like,
follow,
share our podcast with your friends. Let us know what you're liking. You can follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. Body and Mind Uncensored is our
name,
handle.
our title.
And then on Instagram, we are bodymind_uncensored. So yeah. Thanks for all your support, and until next time, thanks, Taleese.
Thanks, Kelly. Talk later.
Bye. If you or someone you know has thoughts of hurting themselves or others, please text or call 988. They will direct you to someone in your community that can help. You can also call 911 in an emergency.
Remember, you never know what someone else is going through. Sending peace and love to all. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook.